And in your experience in committing crimes, would it have been unusual for somebody to ask something like this in the first or second meeting? That somebody he met?
Not at all.
Did you talk to McGriff again?
Yes,
Do you remember when that was compared to when you saw him at the club?
maybe a few weeks later.
Do you remember where you saw him?
He gave me a call. He told me to meet him in Queens. I had no idea, I didn't know anything about Queens, but he gave me directions.
Okay, did you go?
Yes,
Then where was it that you went in Queens?
I don't remember. It was somewhere around the projects, like a project setting.
And did you have a discussion with Supreme at that point?
Yes,
Was anyone else participating in the discussion other than the two of you?
no.
What do you remember about the conversation?
I remember him telling me that time was of the essence, well, he was trying to explain to me, which I later found out was, it was a little different, is that these guys was also trying to kill Irv Gotti, was trying to actually rob him and extort him.
Okay, who was Irv Gotti?
He's a rapper. He's in the music industry.
Okay. At the time, did you know what Irv Gotti's business was in the music industry?
Yeah, I knew who he was.
Who was he?
Just a producer. He ran a company,
What was the company called?
Murder Incorporated.
And did that company have any famous artists that made the company well known?
Gyro and Ashanti.
And did you learn anything about from Supreme about his relationship with Irv Gotti?
Yeah, that they was good friends.
What else did McGriff tell you then?
He told me that he had other guys that was looking for the guys that he wanted me to kill too. So,
And what was the context of him telling you that?
try to get us to do faster.
Did you have a discussion at that point about whether you were going be the one to kill the person or whether you needed additional people?
Yeah, he said I needed more people. Like 3 or 4 guys.
Okay. Did he tell you how many people it was that... Did McGriff tell you how many people he wanted dead?
Yes, 4. It was 4 guys.
Did he share the names with you at that point?
Yes,
So what were the names?
Big Nose Troy, E-Moneybags, a guy named Homicide, and another guy named Green-Eyed Born.
Okay, this was in 2001, correct?
Yeah, around 2001. I'm not sure on the dates.
Did you discuss a means of communicating between the two of you?
Yeah, we used phones, but he gave me, I had a 2-way pager. He told me he would give me another one later.
So, did you use a two-way pager to communicate with him at times?
Yes,
And you also used telephones?
yes,
And did you discuss, well, what did you do after this meeting? How did you leave things with him?
he actually wanted to show me a house that we was going to stay at.
And by the way, did you discuss money at some point?
Yes,
What was the discussion about money?
the contract was for $25,000
$25,000
a person, per person,
per shooter or per victim?
per victim.
And you said that McGriff wanted to show you a house?
Yeah, he took us to a house in Queens.
Can you describe anything about the house?
All I remember is the house was close to a little pond.
All right. I am going to show you what's been marked as Government's Exhibits 2002-A, 2002-C, and 2002-D for identification. And I will just show them all to you. Do you recognize 2002-A?
Yeah, that's the house.
Okay. This is the house that McGriff showed you?
Yes,
2002-C, do you recognize that?
it looks like the pond I was just describing.
Okay, and 2002-D, do you know if that's near the house?
Yeah, that's a little further on the left. On the right side, my right side, of the house. It's the street, an avenue.
Same street and avenue, just not right here. Near the house?
Yes,
I'll move exhibits 2002-A, C, and D, as in David, into evidence.
All right, no objection. They are in.
What is it that McGriff wanted to show you about this house?
Just where me and other guys would be staying.
What do you mean by staying?
Like, when we came to Queens, because when we came, we didn't really know what the guys look like. So when we came to Queens, we would probably stay in this house for a while, and then go out and look for the guys, and then come back to this house. I actually left the guys that I had brung out to Queens with me. They stayed there. I never stayed there.
Okay. So this was a place where McGriff was offering you and your team to stay?
Yes.
While you were looking for these people, is that right?
Yes.
Okay. After that meeting, what did you do?
We went to his house and we stayed there for... He just showed the house and then we all just left.
And what did you do after that?
Excuse me?
What did you do after leaving the house?
I went home.
Okay. How about during the days that followed that?
We came back and forth to Queens. I came back and forth to Queens and we rode around and we looked for the guys. We had a guy named...
Let me just stop you there. Before you actually went out, did you hire people to do this with you?
Yes.
Okay. Did you hire?
A guy named TJ, Barry Broughton, Smiley, and Les.
All right. So we saw Exhibit 28. That's...
Barry Broughton.
You saw 27, is that right?
Smiley.
Okay, and just for identification, I'll show you the last three, which are 31. Do you recognize who that is?
Les.
Okay, and 57. Do you recognize that person?
TJ.
Number 57, did you say?
Yes, Your Honor, 3157. And 58?
Who is 58? Show him 58. Who is that?
Les.
So, Les again. I'll cut that down to 57 and 31. I'll move both of those into evidence.
This may be a good time to take our mid-morning break. We will return in 15 minutes, 10 to 12.
All rise.
You can bring the jurors back.
You can all be seated. All rise. You can all be seated.
All right, let's continue with the questioning.
Mr. Mosley, just one thing I'd just like to follow up with. In your 1987 arrest when you were arrested for the guns in the back of the livery cab, do you recall that you were interviewed at that time for what's called a pre-sentence report in the state?
In what year?
1987.
Oh, 1987. You said I was interviewed for probation?
Before sentencing in that case by the state authorities?
No.
Okay. I'd like to just show you what I'll deem marked as 3500-EM-6. I'm going to show that just to the witness. Is it on your screen? It's not on mine. Mr. Mosley, is that on your screen? It didn't come up on mine.
Yes.
Okay, so I'm just going to point down here. During that interview, do you recall telling the authorities that you just pled guilty to get the case over with and that you didn't do it?
Yeah, I didn't get caught with the firearms.
Okay, but you actually knew that the guns were there, correct?
There were two individuals in the car with me. I knew they had guns on them. I watched them put them under the seat of the cab.
Okay, and so you legally possess those guns, correct?
Yes.
All right, so let's go back. I'm just going to show you for identification government's Exhibit 30. Do you recognize that person?
How about?
Okay, I move Exhibit 30 into evidence.
All right, no objection, in evidence.
And who is how about?
That's the guy that used to drive us around Queens when we was looking for the guys.
Okay, so this was someone who was affiliated with who?
Supreme McGriff.
And had you known him before you agreed to commit these murders for Supreme?
No.
And did this is the person that showed you around Queens when you were looking for the victims, is that right?
Yes.
Excuse me, what number is that again?
Exhibit 30, Your Honor.
Just 30. Okay, in evidence.
So let me go back then to the people that you recruited to murder. Now, did you have an order for what victim was going to be killed?
Big Nose Troy and E-Moneybags.
And did McGriff tell you why it was that those people had to be murdered first?
Yeah, he told me that E-Moneybags was trying extort Irv Gotti, and that Big Nose Troy was like partners with him.
Okay. And for that job, you said that you recruited Tripp, is that correct?
Yes,
And so, in evidence, Exhibit 28. That's Tripp, correct?
yes,
Okay, and you said you had known Tripp going back even as far as Pennsylvania, right?
yes.
All right. Government's Exhibit 27, which is in evidence.
Alvin Smiley.
And how did you happen to recruit Hip for this hit team?
I recruited him through Les.
And how was it that Les knew this person?
From the polo grounds. We all live in the same neighborhood.
Okay, and was there anything?
Did he say polo grounds?
Sorry, is that what you said? The Polo Grounds?
Yeah, from the polo grounds.
Was that near your neighborhood, the Polo Grounds?
Yeah, about 6 blocks difference.
And what, if anything, did you learn from Les about Alvin Smiley that made Alvin a candidate in your mind to do this?
He told me that Alvin had shot somebody or shot at someone with a shotgun.
And you also said that you recruited someone named TJ?
Yes,
So what caused you to recruit TJ?
that was through Les as well. That was his friend.
Okay, and did you learn anything about TJ, or what was that? Why was it that you hired him?
Les just told he that he would be down
Okay, and by be down, what do you mean by that?
to roll with the hit team.
So, just so the jury's clear, 57 in evidence is who?
TJ.
Okay. And 31 in evidence?
Les.
And by the way, 26, which I think is already in evidence, if not.
That's me.
Okay, so if it's not, I would just move it into evidence.
Exhibit 26 is in evidence now.
Was there anybody else that you hired for this?
For this particular job,
Yeah?
eBay.
All right. Well, didn't you hire eBay to do Troy?
Yeah, but that was later on. Initially, the guys that you just put on the screen, those are the guys that I hired initially.
Okay, so there were 2 murders, right?
Yes,
The first one was E-Moneybags, correct?
yes,
And the second one was Troy, correct?
yes,
And you didn't hire eBay for the first one, right?
no,
He didn't participate in that, right?
not at all.
All right. So once you had recruited these people, you said that you spent time looking for the victims. Is that right?
Yes,
Okay. How did you go about doing that? Well, first of all, how did you go about knowing who you were going to kill?
because how about knew all these guys, all the individuals involved, so he would be our eyes.
Did you have a photograph of any of those people?
Yeah, we had a blurry photograph of E-Moneybags.
Okay. And can you describe? Did you go to this house while you were looking for E-Moneybags?
Yes,
Can you describe what was in the house?
we went. We actually went to the basement. We never really explored the whole house. We went in the house and went straight down to the basement, which consisted of just lots of videotapes and TV and a couch. And that's where we had the guns at. That's where the guns that Supreme gave us to actually do the job was inside the house, in the basement.
Can you describe how you knew the guns were there and what guns you and your team had access to?
He gave us the guns. He gave me the guns, actually. Me and him talked about, firearms. I told him we would need him to provide them for us. So he took me there personally by myself first and gave me a bag. It was in a black duffel bag.
Was this different from the day that Supreme first showed you the house?
Yes,
So you went out to Queens again and met with Supreme?
yes,
What else do you remember about that meeting?
that was the meeting when he kept explaining to me how many guys it was. And, how fast he needed it done.
Okay, how did he pass the guns to you?
They was already in the basement, so when I went there, he just pulled out the bag and showed them to me.
How many guns were in the bag, do you remember?
It was a few guns, maybe about 8 to 10.
Okay, do you remember anything about the guns?
There was a bulletproof vests, one that was made of a t-shirt, and there was a couple 9 misdemeanors, AR-15, and just a bunch of handguns.
Okay, for somebody who's not familiar with guns, what does an AR-15 look like?
It's a machine gun.
Can you explain what happened when you started looking for either E-Moneybags or Big Nose Troy?
We would just ride around to different, various places. We'd even ride around at nighttime, go to different clubs, see if How About would be able to spot any of them.
And what did you do at the end of a night looking for the victims?
We returned back to the house and I'd go home and I'd leave the guys there.
Did the people that you had hired, where did they stay at night?
They stayed in the house.
All right, and did you see Supreme McGriff during this time?
Yeah, I seen him periodically. He was going back and forth out of town.
Now, when you would look for the victims, were you all in the same car, your whole team?
Yeah, we had 2 different vehicles that we used that he provided for us.
Can you explain that?
What part?
Just explain, did you have a pattern of who would ride in what car and how you would ride around?
We didn't have a real pattern. It wasn't set up that way.
Okay,
We just periodically get in cars and just go. But How About would do a lot. He would do all the driving pretty much, so he could show us around Queens.
how about Supreme McGriff? Was he ever present when you were looking for the victims?
Yes, on several different occasions, but it would just be me and him.
Okay, can you explain that further? You and him would meet up?
Yeah, me and him would meet up separate from the guys. The guys never really met Supreme. I'd keep that separate.
Was there a reason that caused you to keep them separate?
Yes. I didn't really want them to know who we was doing the job for.
Why is that?
Because of the coming to jail, and any of those guys end up sitting where I'm sitting.
When you rode with Supreme to look around, was the hit team nearby or was it just the 2 of you looking, you and Supreme?
They'd be nearby.
Would they be in a separate car?
Yeah. With How About.
While you were looking, did you carry a firearm with you?
Sometimes.
How about Supreme? Did he have a firearm?
Yes.
How do you know?
He showed it to he.
All right, when you were in the car with your hit team, did they have guns with them?
Yes.
Where did they carry the guns?
We had a stash spot. A stash inside the car, on the side of the car.
What do you mean by a stash spot?
There was a panel in the door that would open up. If you turn the dial of the radio and turn on the air conditioner, it would open up.
So, would that be something that you wouldn't see unless you knew it was there?
Absolutely.
Were you looking for the victims every single day?
Not every day.
How often do you recall doing that?
Like 10 days out of a 14-day span.
If you were in the car with Supreme, how did you communicate, if at all, with the other people on the team?
We had walkie-talkies.
Did your crew successfully kill E-Moneybags?
Yes.
About how long do you remember looking for him, to the best of your recollection, before the team killed him?
Maybe a few months. Maybe a month and a half or so.
Do you recall how you found him?
Yes.
What happened?
How About had a girlfriend. I can't remember her name. But we being in contact with her, and E-Moneybags used to be around the area that she lived in. And she was looking out the window and she saw his car, and he was driving a Jeep. And she had a videotape. And she was videotaping it. And at the same time she was videotaping, she was talking to Supreme on the phone.
Was Supreme with you when E-Moneybags was murdered?
Yes.
Can you explain how it is that you traveled to the murder scene? First of all, where was the hit team when you found out where E-Moneybags was?
In the house.
The lake house?
Yes. The lake house.
And how did you get from the lake house to where the murder happened?
The lady called Supreme was telling him that E-Moneybags was over there. So, when she called him, he told me about it, and I told him to get ready.
You were already with Supreme?
Yes, I was with him already.
You received a phone call, the lady, you mean How About's girlfriend?
Yes.
So what happened then?
We all got in different separate cars. Me and him, we got in a different car. I walkie-talkied them, and they got in a different car. How about rode by a motorcycle? He rode by to make sure this was them over there.
How about rode by who on a motorcycle?
E-Moneybags.
You were in a car with whom?
Supreme.
And the shooters were together in another car?
Yes. How about put his motorcycle up and got in the car with them?
So how about went to see where E-Moneybags was and came back to the house?
Yeah.
And then drove the shooters to the scene?
Yes.
So what happened when you got there?
They got out of the car.
Let me ask you, did you see this happen or were you in a different?
I was in a different, like a block over,
Okay.
in some area where they had a lot of trees.
And what happened when you were on that block?
I could just hear the gunshots.
What did you see after hearing the gunshots?
I seen Barry Broughton running.
Where was he running?
He was running close to us by the trees, and he wanted to get in the car with me. And I told him, nah. I got on the walkie-talkie and I called the guys that was driving the other car, and how about picked him up? I didn't watch him pick him up. I know he picked him up, because we all met up again.
What happened after the other people picked up Barry Broughton?
They were going back to the house and dropped off the guns.
Did you meet with them after that, meaning the hit team, after this?
Yes.
And did anybody tell you what happened?
Yes. They told me that TJ didn't fire any shots.
And did they tell you anything else about the murder?
Yes.
So what's that?
They told me that that there was a bunch of guys standing around the car, and that they took off running. When they started firing on E-Moneybags, that he actually had a gun.
So did anybody other than Barry Broughton shoot at E-Moneybags, according to the hit team?
Yes, everybody. But I found out later that Les actually didn't fire any shots either.
Okay. Did you do anything to confirm that E-Moneybags had in fact been killed?
No, I really didn't do anything in particular.
Did you find out? Were you concerned that maybe he hadn't? Maybe that actually hadn't happened?
No,
Why not?
I don't know. I didn't think I could hear the shots. I found out later on that he was dead. Supreme told me.
Did you see Supreme after E-Moneybags was killed?
Yes. He was in the car with me.
But after that day, did you see him?
Yes. I met up with him to get paid.
Where? Do you remember where he paid you for that first one?
It was downtown somewhere. I think it was like 23rd Street in Manhattan.
And what happened when you met him to get paid?
He was with a girl outside of a restaurant. He came outside. I stood outside. He came outside to talk to me. He had a brown bag with him, and we just talked about it for a little while.
What was in the brown bag?
Money.
In what form?
$25,000.
Cash?
Yes.
So what did you do with that money?
I took it, called up the guys, and paid them.
How much did you pay the guys?
I gave Les $4,500. I was supposed to give him $5,000, but I gave him $4,500. I gave Barry Broughton $4,500. I gave TJ $3,000 because he didn't fire any shots, and I gave Alvin $4,500.
You kept your $5,000?
Yes, I kept the rest.
Plus the extra that you had withheld from the members of the team, is that right?
Yes.
After you killed E-Moneybags, who did you intend to kill next?
Troy. Big Nose Troy.
Did you start looking for Big Nose Troy right away?
Maybe 2 weeks later.
And for this killing, did you use the same people that you had used before?
Initially, yes. But I couldn't get in touch with Les because he was upstate somewhere, and I wasn't going to use TJ.
Why didn't you want to use TJ?
Because he didn't fire any shots.
Now, do you remember when this was that... First of all, do you remember when E-Moneybags was killed?
No, I don't remember.
I'm going to show you what's been marked for identification as 3500-EM-3, just for the witness. And do you see that on your screen?
Yes.
Having taken a look at that, does it refresh your memory of when you killed E-Moneybags?
Yes,
So when was that?
2001.
Do you remember when in 2001?
No,
I would like to show you again the same document. Does looking at this refresh your recollection of when?
it says July 16th, 2001, but
I'm sorry, you're not supposed to read it. Does it help you remember when you killed E-Moneybags?
yes. I know it was on or about 2001, but the date wasn't clear.
Okay, eventually you and your hit team killed Big Nose Troy, correct?
Yes,
Do you remember when that was?
a few months later.
Also in 2001?
Yes,
All right, so you said that you were not going to use TJ for the murder?
no,
And you said that this Les? Did you start looking for Big Nose Troy with Les?
yes, I did. He was in Maine, though, around the time, because we continued to look. He used to get back and forth out of town, him and TJ. Around that time, he was not available. He wasn't around.
Do you remember looking for Big Nose Troy when Les was there? Was it the same pattern that you just described as far as looking for E-Moneybags?
Yes,
Now, when Les wasn't there, you had two people. Two shooters you were missing. Is that right?
yes.
What, if anything, did you do to make up for that?
I hired eBay.
You hired the defendant eBay to participate?
Yes,
So how did you meet eBay?
through a guy named Kiddo.
Kiddo?
Yes, Kiddo. His name is Crawford.
Do you know where Kiddo was from?
From Brooklyn.
Do you know where in Brooklyn?
Not exactly.
How did you know Kiddo?
He was out of town in Pennsylvania with me.
Selling drugs in Pennsylvania, is that right?
Yes. He didn't sell drugs with me. I just knew him from being out there.
Was he selling drugs also in Pennsylvania?
Yes.
How was it that you happened? How did you spend time with Kiddo?
Actually, from Pennsylvania, He became one of my better friends.
How frequently did you see Kiddo in around 2001?
I used to go to Brooklyn every now and then to go see him.
And how did you meet eBay through Kiddo?
I met him in front of the projects.
And did you have a discussion with eBay then? Or did you just meet him?
I just met him.
Did you speak with eBay again after that?
Yes.
So what were the circumstances of you discussing or having a discussion with him after that?
Because he used to come uptown, in Harlem, because he had a girlfriend up there. So, I ended up meeting up with him and just talking to him periodically.
Now, do you recall asking eBay to take part in the murder of Big Nose Troy?
Yes,
What caused you to ask eBay to do it?
because a discussion me and Kiddo had before.
Hold on.
Is there an objection?
Yes.
Did you have a reason for doing this, the question?
Yes, Your Honor.
Objection overruled. You can explain the reason.
The reason, Kiddo told me that eBay was one of the guys that put a lot of work in his neighborhood.
Did you ask eBay actually to participate in the murder?
Yes,
So what did eBay say?
yes,
Did you offer him the money right away, or did that come later?
instantly. I told him he was going to get paid.
Did eBay then start looking for Big Nose Troy with you?
Yes,
And did you use the same lake house as a restover spot?
yes,
And do you remember whether or not eBay, from your observations, became friendly with anybody in the hit team that you already had?
yes.
Who was that?
Broughton.
Trip?
Yes, Trip.
And how long? You and your team eventually murdered Big Nose Troy, correct?
Yes,
How long did you look for Big Nose Troy, do you think?
maybe a few months.
Did you have access to the same guns as you had before?
No, we had different guns,
How do you know they were different?
because we swapped them out. I gave the old ones back to Supreme. He gave me new ones.
Did you have the bulletproof vest at that point?
None of us had it on. So, I don't remember if we still had it. Somebody ended up stealing it later.
Did How About still drive you around?
Yes, he drove us around periodically.
How did you communicate during that period when you were looking for Big Nose Troy with members of your hit team when you weren't all together?
By telephone or two-way pages.
Did you look for Big Nose Troy together every day?
No,
So, when you wanted to get the team together, were you the one in charge of doing that?
sometimes. But they had already meshed together, so they would get with each other.
What do you mean by that?
They would just come together at the house in Queens, and How About would just ride them around.
How did you know that?
Because I communicated with them on that. They let me know that.
Did eBay participate in those searches?
I can't recall if he participated in all those searches.
He participated in some of them?
Yes,
Now, eventually, you ended up killing Troy. How did you find out where he was on the night he was killed?
I had a two-way page from Supreme, McGriff, and what he said was that it was a lot of bitches out the club. Excuse my language.
What did you understand that to mean?
I understand it to mean that the guys that we were looking for was over there, was in the club that he was telling me about.
And was that based on anything that led you to believe that?
Yes. That was kind of a code for us. We had been in different clubs before looking for the same guys, and we just say, call them bitches.
Had you seen Big Nose Troy before?
No,
So, what did you do once you got this page from Supreme?
I was already in Queens. We had been searching for Big Nose Troy already, and I was on my way. We was on our way, leaving. We was about to go home, go back to Harlem. And I asked him where was How About, so he could direct us to the club. But How About was unavailable.
So, what did you do?